Hello and welcome. I am talking about the diagram of duality today and how we can better understand exactly what it is what intelligence is allowing us to be here right now and to experience this third density experience, this illusion that we are the body, this illusion that we are in this matrix of a physical universe. And it's a beautiful matrix. It's a wonderfully precise and perfect representation of consciousness, and it's a magnificent system and elaborate game to exercise the constructs that consciousness desires to experience. So I want to talk about terms that I've used in previous videos. So hopefully you are familiar with the Law of One material and also familiar with Bentinho Massaro, and you are kind of understand this concept of 7 main categories of density of our whole universe, and they're all kind of categorized in 7. So just beginning from the top, 7th density is beyond any conceptual understanding, and it is the gateway and completion of duality, is that where all physical and non-physical separation become one, and it is an absolute mystery. And my intuition even tells me that it's basically the black hole. It's the black hole that kind of destroys and contorts and completely transforms matter, and that's kind of like where 7th density is at. But I'm not going to be talking on 7th density too much, so just beginning next on the 6th density. The 6th density is this social memory complex. It is the collection of all your experiences, and it's a one mind. It is a shared intelligence that is between many seemingly separate beings, and all of these separate beings that occur simultaneously within time also make up this collection in 6th density, because all time is occurring right now. So all beings of a united collection are in a consolidated, compact, and a more refined state of intelligence in 6th density, which you may understand and interpret as the future, but the future also is happening currently. So don't get too wrapped up in the idea that there's something to be attained and you can't possibly imagine it right now, because it is accessible to you always, and it's already there for you. And that's the intelligence in 6th density, is allowing you to breathe without thinking right now. It's so intelligent, and it's so loving and completely non-judgmental and non-biased, that it allows for all experience to occur for the one infinite creator that you are, to learn and to basically make the decision that is in most alignment with that particular portion of consciousness, which we would experience as like, an individual, right? Because we're in 3rd density down here. So we experience this in 3rd density as a separation, that we are a portion that is much more segmented than what we would experience in 6th density, or even 5th or 4th density. But they all make up the collective or the social memory complex in 6th density. And starting here, going to 3rd density, you know, we have this experience of having our own free will and having our own ability to choose differently than others and to have a different experience. So we in 3rd density, it's a profound and powerful place for us to really cut ourselves off from the unified field of reality. And we've experienced that for the past, you know, few thousand years, right? And we've been so cut off that we've had short lifespans. We've had a lot of suffering and a lot of catalyst, which I talk about in other videos, but I'll just talk about how catalyst is quickly talk about how catalyst is a mechanism, a function, and a system for consciousness to polarize towards a positive or negative charge, so to speak. And this positive charge would be considered to be service to others. It would be a very very giving, radiant, kind of sharing and generous experience. And the opposite polarity, and keep in mind that this polarity is one spectrum. It is one entire spectrum. It is one. But the position of that spectrum that you choose is going to really change your whole experience of this unity. And when you are on the negative, when you're on the negative path or the negative pole, which is not good, bad, right, or wrong, it is much more identified with service to self. It's more about you know, having the joy and making it available for yourself. And that is the foremost and most ideal situation for you. And if it is your prerogative to take the joy from others so that you know that you can have it, that you know you have it. So I'm not going to get too much into that, but just a basic context, you know, in 3rd density, we experience this polarity, this great choice, and this ability to be self-aware of our own free will that is fundamentally separate from the herd or the group or the species. And we get to experience this wonderful ability to actually be like kind of cut off from everything and be like think our own thoughts, right? And to choose our own preferences and to experience a body that can really adjust its own. I know it's hard to believe now, but you can actually adjust your attitude and your thoughts and your emotions by whatever means necessary, much easier in 3rd density. So in 3rd density, your 6th density self, which you are currently, throws a portion of itself into 3rd density. And there's many portions, as you can tell here. And there's all these portions are what we call past and future lives, but they're all happening simultaneously while you're alive. While you're watching this video, there are portions of you and of the collective being that you are that are in the future, but currently there are many portions of you in 3rd density that you experience as past or future lives in this kind of like Earth matrix, right? Or it could be another planet and you could visualize yourself as like another being with different eye colors or skin color, or like, you know, things that are peculiar, to say the least, and not ordinary or not normal. So if you have these experiences, know that they are valid, and that and if they give you a vivid kind of visceral feeling of, you know, being real, then they are, and they're to be honored, and, you know, also to be respected as their own individual experience, because you are also, you're in this body for good reason, and it is because your sixth density self has thrown a portion of itself into this third density experience of separation and so much duality, this stark black and white kind of experience that of duality. And you get to, and the reason why the collective being that you are in the future, so to speak, has sent itself back, so to speak, and thrown a portion of its awareness and its consciousness back in time and space, is because it desires to polarize more. So say, for example, that if the sixth density consciousness is desiring to become a seventh density consciousness, which is becoming the creator, it's actually becoming the ability to transform and materialize and dematerialize matter at will. And that is the desire of the late stages of sixth density beings. And in order for them to do that, they need to become extremely polarized. They need to become 100% service to others or 100% service to self, right? And Law of One talks about how they are beings from sixth density, social memory complex, and they actually don't know of any beings in sixth density that are of that high percentage of service to self. And I talk about that in other videos. But in sixth density, they want to become 100% service to self, because that means they enter the seventh density new beginning, this new cycle. And that is basically the evolution, and that's the goal, so to speak. So in order for them to reach 100% of polarity, the sixth density wants the third density portions of its collective, of its own responsibility and its own makeup. They want all their portions of itself to become polarized. So they want all the portions of their third density self to become service to self or service to others, and in as great a degree as possible. Because in third density there is a profound and powerful ability to polarize at a much more rapid rate, because of the catalyst that is experienced. And I'm going back to this, is that catalyst is suffering. There's a great deal of suffering in third density, and that allows you to become self-aware and to actually not choose that, or choose suffering, and whatever that looks like for you, because suffering for one will look different for another. So this ability in third density gives you a more profound ability to choose to suffer or not to suffer. And this is basic terms, but the sixth density self wants you as a person, as a a human being that's singular, it wants to be more polarized towards each polarity. And the third density self, might I add, doesn't have to be aware of it. Doesn't have to be aware of like what percentile or what range they are in order for them to be here. This is just a very practical way of understanding, and I know it will help some of you. So this is for example, they talk about in the Law of One how in the middle of all of this polarity, there exists a sinkhole of indifference right here. Sinkhole, all right? So this sinkhole is kind of on the fence. They're not really choosing what polarity they want to choose, and we've experienced this in the past, and there's a high degree of randomness that happens within this sinkhole. Life happens to you while you're in the sinkhole. Like, you are not a co-creator of your reality, and you're not actually conscious to the ability that you have as consciousness. So while you're in this sinkhole of indifference, you become very resigned and cynical, for an example. But also within this sinkhole, there's a high degree of randomness, and their life is not deliberate at all. So the more deliberate you become in your life, the more polarized you become. And based on what intention is behind your deliberate choice and your deliberate focus, based on what that intention is, it will be kind of categorized as like an extent of service to others or service to self, and it will give you a kind of additional polarity, whether whatever portion or whatever position of the spectrum that you choose. It will give you a greater degree of polarity, and it will give you a greater charge to and that will cycle and give you more momentum to go in that direction of the spectrum that you choose. So life essentially outside of the sinkhole becomes more deliberate, more conscious, more aware, more intelligent, and you are at a point now. We are at a point now where we're actually in fourth density here. We're now in fourth density officially, and as a collective, as a species and a planet, we have already agreed to become service to others, and things are changing rapidly, and it's a magnificent time to be alive, because we now are entering an age where there's going to be less suffering and less catalyst because of what we know. And what we know is it's not going to take us back to the Neanderthal days. It's not going to take us to the Dark Ages. It's either going to continue us to grow, or it's going to completely destroy us. So we're at this point now where we're not going to be destroyed, and we're going to continue on this project on Earth, and there's going to be less suffering and less catalyst. So there's going to be less opportunity to polarize within fourth density. And because of that lesser opportunity to polarize within fourth density and fifth density, you're gonna be more your choices are going to be more in tune with the collective group that you're with. It could be a friend group. It could be a group that has similar goals, interests, desires. So this is going to look very a myriad of ways. There's going to be so much variety in the groups that you're going to come together in the future. And while this continues to unfold in a way throughout linear time, there's going to be more and more collective or mini collectives of beings where they're starting to kind of combine their co-creative ability together to become more efficient and manifest things on a much more rapid rate together rather than separately. And might I add, you don't necessarily need a group to manifest rapidly. You can do it on your own, and this requires you to become a higher degree of polarity. And I'm not judging that either is good or bad. And I'm not judging whether or not your choice is going to be evil or, righteous and good, because in the eyes of the One Infinite, all is respected, all is honored, all is allowed. So your choice is your choice, and you better make it here while you're on the fringes of third and fourth and the beginning of fourth, essentially, because in fourth density, we're going to start to experience more opportunities to help others and also to help ourselves. So, and this is going to be much more rapid, right? There's going to be things happening much more quickly, and it's not going to be so self-reflective. It's not going to be so much the ability to think your own thoughts. You know what I'm hinting at here. It's going to be more a telepathic society. It's going to be more a connected planet and globe. And you can already see this with the internet. It's an artificial way to represent this. And it's a artificial representation and symbol of this collected globe, this collected fourth density planet. And within this planet in fourth density, there's going to be a lot less ability to really be an individual. And again, there's no right or wrong, good or bad about being an individual. There's a tremendous opportunity in being an individual. So utilizing that opportunity to be an individual now and to take your life in the direction that you want is of utmost importance now. So while we're in fourth density, I'll just continue to talk a little bit about fourth. Fourth density is definitely this Star Wars kind of Star Trek civilization where we're connecting with other groups and other civilizations and other species and other many collectives that are of a similar resonance of us, where like is attracting like, and we're collecting together to co-create and to manifest the reality we want together, as opposed to individually. And this has tremendous opportunities, and this is wonderful. But we're not really there. I mean, we're there, guys. We're there in fourth density now, but we're so early in the game that it hasn't really gained so much momentum right now. So we're still having the opportunities of third right now, and it is accelerating rapidly for us to polarize and to really manifest the reality we want to live in. So, fourth density, we are making groups. Just to summarize, we're making groups, and we're getting together in the desired and the most exciting, kind of uplifting and motivating and deliberate joinings of people so that we can manifest together the reality and the world we want to live in. And that's going to eventually get to a point where the technology comes to us in the way that we are going to have the choice to actually leave the planet and go start our own civilizations. But again, not in our lifetime, likely. Not likely that we're going to... The technology is out there. It's just not being allowed to us yet. So this is take the opportunity and the wonderful power that you have now without the technology and use it as to become more self-aware of consciousness and polarize more towards what you choose with your own consciousness, and not having to kind of like get permission slips from technology and other people, which are a form of technology, but won't get into that. But we are essentially, our bodies are biological technology, and that's what we're here to do, is to become more conscious and polarize your consciousness and to transform consciousness as we know it in the universe. So I'll talk briefly on fifth density. You know, fifth density is this point where we become more individual again, and it's a balance. You know, each density is kind of a lessons that we need to learn, and it kind of goes in the way of like positive, negative, like alternating currents. So, you know, in third density, the lessons are much more internal. They're much more personal, and the choice is made for ourselves, and they're like, you know, for survival and whatnot. So that's like much more a negative charge, as the fourth density is much more positive. It's kind of expanding and growing and like opening our heart, right? And you know, when we get to fifth density, it's again going to be that negative, kind of inward looking, seeking, stepping away from the physical body and the group consciousness. And we're going to go into this kind of like, everybody's going to be essentially like a guru or a rishi or someone that meditates all day and like is out of their body. And then those fifth density beings are also polarizing by, you know, serving others or serving the self, and that gives them an ability to become more polarized and join the group consciousness in sixth density, and really make more of a decision while you're in fifth density, while you're in this like really choosing, knowing what you want to do, and knowing exactly what it is that is going to make you more efficient in your ability to create your own reality as you see fit. And that opportunity in fifth density is then at some point met, and it's realized, and it's learned, and it's integrated, and then you become, you know, you go back with the group, and you go back with the group of your choosing, and then become, you know, working on yourself and many other portions of your collective that are going to assist you in your polarization. Okay, so that was a lot, and hopefully you guys really stuck through it, and I'm commending all of you that are still with me, because that was a lot. So hopefully, and I know this is going to help a lot of people. So thank you for watching, guys, and I commend you for your bravery, your insistence, and your deliberate intention to understand the nature of consciousness, understand the nature of our reality, and become a better human being, so that we can connect with the infinite potential that exists within each and every portion of consciousness and of the one infinite creator. Thank you. I'll see you on the next one.